I'm here with the Association of African Universities Television, AUTV. I just want to say that without the media, you won't know what's going on in the world. Even with the media, you sometimes don't know what's going on in the world. So you need to tune in to the reliable sources who are really on the front lines, who can give you the information you need and give you facts, not conjecture, give you real news, not fake news. And this is the place to find it, AUTV.
The voice of higher education in Africa.
Good day, Africa. This is the Hello Africa Morning Show, and we're coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana. My name is Chimaima Daladem Toche, and we'll take our top African stories. So, Ghana's health authorities confirmed 2 new Mpox infections, while the University of Ghana suspends all social events following a resurgence of COVID-19 cases on campus. Despite concerns, academic activities will continue with strict safety protocols in place. Health officials stress the importance of early reporting for anyone showing symptoms. The development reflects ongoing effort to balance public health safety with normal life in Ghana.
The Ghana Health Service has confirmed 2 new cases of Mpox, raising the country's total to 119 as of June 22, 2025. Fortunately, no new deaths have been recorded and there are currently no patients admitted for the disease. Health officials are urging the public to stay vigilant, avoid close contact with infected individuals and seek immediate medical care if symptoms develop. Meanwhile, at the University of Ghana, concerns over a resurgence of COVID-19 have prompted the suspension of all social events on the Legon campus. However, university authorities have clarified that lectures will proceed as scheduled, citing lower risks of transmission in academic settings. Dean of Student Affairs Professor Rosina Tremantin emphasized that while students remain seated and attentive in lectures, social events involve close interactions and excitement which heighten the risk of spreading the virus. She assured that face masks and social distancing measures will be strictly enforced in lecture halls. The university's emergency response team has called for heightened precautions, though the exact number of COVID-19 cases on campus has not been disclosed. The University of Ghana, known for its swift public health responses and past pandemic waves, is determined to maintain its academic calendar while protecting the health and safety of students and staff. Health officials across the country continue to urge the public to observe all safety protocols as Ghana navigates this evolving health challenge.
Moving on, Ghana's Ministry of the Interior has confirmed that Public Day, which falls on Tuesday, July 1, will be observed as a public holiday on Friday, July 4, following a directive from President John Dramani Mahama. The announcement comes as Parliament passes amendments to the country's holiday calendar, removing the August 4th Founders' Day and reinstating September 21 in honor of Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
In Ghana, new changes to the national holiday calendar have been announced, shifting the observance of Republic Day and redefining Founders' Day celebration. The Ministry of the Interior has declared that although Republic Day falls on Tuesday, July 1, this year's public holiday will instead be observed nationwide on Friday, July 4, following an executive instrument signed by President John Dramani Mahama. Officials say the adjustment is aimed at allowing Ghanaians an extended weekend to mark the occasion. The announcement follows Parliament passage of the Public Holidays and Commemorative Days Amendment Bill 2025. Under the new law, August 4 has been scrapped as Founders' Day. Instead, September 21, the birthday of Ghana's first president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, has been reinstated as the official Founders' Day, celebrating his pivotal role in leading the nation to independence. Interior Minister Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak explained in Parliament that the decision was driven by a desire for national unity, noting that August 4 has been seen as a divisive date among Ghanaians. He affirmed that honoring Dr. Nkrumah on September 21 better reflects the country's history and collective identity. The amended law also establishes July 1 as a full public holiday each year to commemorate Ghana's transition to a republic in 1960.
Also, the Central African Republic has declared 3 days of national mourning after a deadly explosion and a stampede at Barthélemy Boganda High School in Bangui, which claimed at least 29 students' lives and injured over 250 others. The tragedy unfolded during the higher education exam attended by about 5,000 students. Most of the victims were girls. Authorities say investigations are ongoing.
Tragedy has struck the Central African Republic, leaving the nation in mourning. At least 29 students have lost their lives and more than 250 are injured after a deadly explosion sparked a stampede at Barthélemy Boganda High School in Bangui. The incident occurred during nationwide higher education exams, with around 5,000 students gathered in a packed facility. A loud explosion, believed to have come from a nearby transformer, triggered widespread panic, causing a chaotic rush for safety. Most of the victims were young girls, many of whom died on the scene or later in overwhelmed hospitals across the city. Medical teams worked tirelessly through the night to stabilize the injured, while desperate families searched for their loved ones. Prime Minister Felix Moulwa visited the injured at a community hospital, where health workers described the scene as one of the most devastating in recent memory. In response, the government has declared 3 days of national mourning. Investigations are underway to determine the exact cause of the explosion as the nation grapples with the heartbreaking loss of so many young lives filled with promise.
At least 8 people have died and over 400 were injured during nationwide protests in Kenya against President William Ruto's government. Demonstrators flooded Nairobi and other cities demanding change. Police responded with tear gas, barricades and razor wire to block access to key government sites. Amnesty Kenya reports the death toll may be as high as 16. The unrest comes a year after a similar deadly protest in 2024.
In Nairobi and other cities, protesters chanted slogans and carried branches to symbolize peaceful resistance. But scenes on the ground told a different story as tear gas filled the air and streets were sealed off with razor wire and barricades. Demonstrators tried to reach President William Ruto's official residence but were pushed back by security forces. While speaking at a burial ceremony far from the capital, the president urged for peace, warning that Kenya's stability must be protected. Live coverage of the protest was briefly banned by the government, but the High Court overturned the directive, highlighting growing tensions between state authorities and public outcry. Rights groups report that among the 400 injured, dozens required specialized medical treatment, including gunshot wounds. And as with last year's demonstrations, images of grief and defiance filled Nairobi with handwritten notes and portraits of the fallen line, the streets near Parliament. What began as a call for reform has once again turned deadly, leaving the nation in turmoil and raising urgent questions about Kenya's political and social future.
Burundi has formally called on the United Nations to recognize the 1972 to 1973 mass killings of Hutus as genocides over 50 years after tens of thousands lost their lives. The country's Truth and Reconciliation Commission says sufficient evidence exists to bring the matter before the UN Security Council, aiming for justice, healing, and regional stability.
Burundi is pressing the United Nations to officially recognize the mass killings of Hutus in 1972 and 73 as genocide, marking over 5 decades since violence claimed tens of thousands of lives. The call comes from Pierre Claver Ndayisariye, president of Burundi's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, who says it's time for the international community to acknowledge the atrocities. He insists that facts established by the Commission, along with testimonies and archival evidence, are sufficient to justify international recognition. Ndai Seri emphasized that bringing the matter before the UN Security Council is crucial not only for justice but also for the healing of victims and survivors and for promoting lasting peace in the Great Lakes region. He believes that official acknowledgement could help stabilize an area long plagued by conflict and unresolved historical wounds. The 1972 killings remain one of the most painful and unresolved chapters in Burundi's history. Often overshadowed by other regional crises, the violence saw mass graves uncovered and evidence gathered of systematic targeting of the Hutu population. Burundi's appeal adds momentum to wider efforts across the region to confront past atrocities and seek justice for victims. As calls for recognition grow louder, many hope that official acknowledgement will help pave the way toward reconciliation and a more stable future for the Great Lakes region.
That is all for the top African stories. My name is Jemima Deladem Tochi. Up next is the news review. Stay tuned.
I'm here with the Association of African Universities Television, AUTV. I just want to say that without the media, you won't know what's going on in the world.
TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 399 5210. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks. You're welcome this morning to the Hello Africa Morning Show, coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana, East Legon to be precise. My name is Philemon Edwards. If you just tune in, you have just missed the top African stories, which was done by my beautiful co-host this morning.
Jemima Deladem Tochi.
Beautiful. So, Jemima, it is the 30th of June today.
Mm-hmm.
It's half of 2025 already.
I know, right?
We just began 2025, but we are in the middle of it.
Exactly, yeah.
You watching this, I don't know how you feel about it. But all I want to tell you this one is if you had plans for 2025 and you probably had not started doing anything about those plans, this is half of the year. This is a reminder from us. I don't know how you're going to take it, but think about it as you watch the show. What's happening in the show today?
A lot actually is happening. I thought you were going to, start with us.
Great, I'm going to start with you. I just wanted to be sure that you're right. You're with me.
I'm with you all the time.
Awesome, awesome. So this morning there's a lot to be discussed on the show. We are going to be talking about COVID-19. I don't know how many of you remember COVID-19. 5 years ago, COVID hit us all over the world. Africa was hit, Europe was hit, America was hit, but the Western world was hit harder than any other continent. Somehow, some way, Ghana is recording some few cases of COVID in the past few days in the University of Ghana, coupled with Mpox. This is a big deal. Like, I don't even get how these two things are coming together. I mean, COVID was a huge pandemic.
Yeah.
Mpox, in a certain sense, has been managed to a certain level.
Yeah.
But for us to be experiencing these two things
At the same time.
like it's quite a big deal. But we'll get into the details of it, and then we'll discuss further. And also, we'll be going all the way to Kenya, where there's a bit of unrest. Last year, there was a similar incident, and the youth were, let me say, protesting and demonstrating, somehow, somewhere in a violent manner. They were resisted by their police force and other security officials. This year, it's happening again. We'll get into the details of that, and then we'll bring you something interesting when it comes to lifestyle. Jemima did a beautiful tour. What's the name of that thing again?
Accra Tour by Night.
Accra Tour by Night. I mean, how many of you have thought about that? I mean, honestly, when you want to take a tour, the ideal time will be the daytime.
You know.
But here is Accra Tour by night.
By night.
I can't wait for that just.
I have it all for you.
Well, let's go into the first story for our discussion this morning. And that's the COVID-19 and Mpox story. So, Jemima, would you do us the honors and let's go into the story immediately?
Okay, so I think you have already opened that for us. I mean, this morning we want to take a closer look at Ghana's public health response to the local resurgence of COVID-19, as you said, and the rise of Mpox cases. And you look at these two pandemics and you don't know why both of them are happening at the same time. The health authorities have issued updates on both situations, emphasizing vigilance, hygiene, and then verified information sharing. I just hope people will not use social media to, be telling us or giving us false information, because that is what really happens a lot of times when we have these.
And they cause panic attacks.
Unnecessary
panic attacks.
Yeah. So the Ghana Health Service, that is the GHS, has issued update on two concurrent public health development, a localized research of COVID-19 and the rise in Mpox cases, prompting renewed calls for public vigilance. And then the health service has also, in collaboration with the University of Ghana, is actively managing the COVID-19 uptake primarily within the university community. I think somewhere last week, I saw a news talking about the new cases of COVID-19 at the University of Ghana. And looking at the University of Ghana and the population they have, first of all, my first question was, what happened? How did we get here? Where did they come from? You understand? Because I mean, we've been okay. We've been living our normal lives. We've been. I mean, there hasn't been any form of emergence of such, and all of a sudden we hear
we are hit by it.
Yeah, we are hit, and nowhere than the University of Ghana. I mean, there are a lot of offices at the University of Ghana. There are hostels, there are students, there are workers, there are families at the University of Ghana. And you ask yourself, where did they come from? Who went
where?
Who went where?
And bring this virus back.
Exactly. And I just hope that the university are putting measures in place. I think per a story I read in the Top African Stories, it says that they are adhering to strict protocols and then cutting down on social events or social gatherings and using the measures that we used to have, that is the washing of our hands, wearing masks, isolating yourself when you are unwell, and putting all these measures in place when you are in the social gathering. What do you think about it?
I mean, it's good that we are trying to bring back those measures. You mentioned the population of the University of Ghana, and it's approximately about 61,000 people in there. I mean, that's students, faculty members, staff, I mean, all of
And
these
you know,
people put together.
even in the University of Ghana, we do not have just the University of Ghana workers.
Yes.
There are bank officers,
yeah.
a lot of them.
A lot of
there are
institutions are
women,
there.
families who stay there, and there are
Research
people
centers.
who are selling. I mean, making
Yeah.
their own business.
Yeah.
So you know, the University of Ghana, I feel like is a whole community,
It's a
on,
community
its
on
own.
its own. Yeah.
So if you have 61,000
Yeah.
of people,
That's a huge
Oh,
risk.
you know,
That is a huge
and
risk.
these people will close from their normal daily lives and then go out there, use the public transport,
Yeah.
get to their families, and all these.
So
you might not even
that's-
tell where this is going.
Yeah, so that's where the issue of contact tracing comes in, because the good thing is that these cases are not so serious. Fortunately, nobody has been admitted. They don't have very serious symptoms, but to a certain extent, even the WHO has declared now that COVID is no longer a pandemic. What it means is that the situation has been brought under control. But we all know what COVID did to us in
Exactly,
2020.
that's
So
true.
for us to hear that it is in Ghana, in the University of Ghana to be specific, is a
Yeah.
big deal. And like you rightly said, the number of people that enter University of Ghana every day, these people who may have contacted COVID and may exit University of Ghana,
Yes.
if they are not driving their own cars and they are coming by public transport, even if they are walking and they meet somebody, they shake
They
hands,
shake hands,
they
they
hug.
hug.
I mean, you can imagine, like,
Yeah.
it is a big deal. For the fact that COVID has brought the entire world to a standstill once before, is where I am alarmed.
That's
But I'm glad that the issue is not so bad. I mean, nobody has been hospitalized. Symptoms are mild.
But you know, that doesn't
know?
mean we should give it an easy look. you
Exactly. It
understand?
doesn't mean you
Because
should just do
I
anyhow,
think,
anyhow.
Formerly, when it came in 2019, 2020,
Yeah.
that was how it started. I mean, we were just hearing of it on a very mild note.
Yeah.
And we just saw that people were dying,
Yeah.
mass burial.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people losing their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, the foreign countries were really, really affected. And we hope that in as much as they are not, or we are not seeing a lot of symptoms, or maybe they are mild, I don't think we should give a
No, we
blunt
shouldn't take it
eye
for
to
granted.
that.
Yeah, we shouldn't take it for granted.
Yes.
So I want to believe that the World Health Organization and the public health emergency people or folks will be keeping an eye on not just the University of Ghana, but everywhere in the 16 regions of this country, because we cannot afford to have a sub-pandemic. Let me put it like
That's
again.
true.
I mean, we can't
That's
afford
true.
to have that. It will be
You know,
too
there's
much
this
to deal with.
question that is echoing. I think that's what you said. He said, who went where?
Exactly. Who went where? And
Who went
has
where
got to
and
bring
brought
it.
what?
You know, back then we were confident about China, and so
You
there
know.
were serious restrictions at our borders.
Exactly.
People coming in, especially by
All
air.
right, now you don't know who
Exactly.
went
so we
where.
don't know who went where.
Yeah. And you see,
it's- yeah.
these, I mean, with the COVID, the symptoms are the headaches, the fever. So sometimes, as human as we are, we
Yeah.
have these. I mean, before
Yeah.
COVID, sometimes you have
Sometimes the
headaches and
symptoms
then
look
everything.
normal, really.
Until
One
you
of the
you
things I've
test.
noticed lately is that a lot of sicknesses have normal symptoms,
symptoms.
like headaches,
Fever,
sometimes fever, you're
and then-
dizzy, and if you're not careful, you're mistaking it for a normal,
normal
flu.
Until you
But
test
that's where
for
the
it.
problem is, until you test for it. So WHO, Ghana Health Service, whoever's involved, we hope that you do what you have to do, and then you keep the entire country under serious surveillance, because we do not want another pandemic
That's
in this continent or any part of the world.
Yeah. And then I think the Mpox, about Mpox, the Ghana Health Service has confirmed 10 new Mpox cases,
This is
bringing
not
the
good.
national total to 108 as of June 20th.
Yeah.
June 20th was like a few
Just
days
a few
ago.
days ago. This is about 10
Exactly.
days ago.
But then they are also saying that no hospitalization or death have occurred.
Yeah.
All patients are under outpatient care. And you know, the common symptoms, that is what we are
Again.
talking about, the fever.
Fever.
I mean, the skin rashes, you could tell they are not a normal,
They are not
they are not so,
normal,
so
yeah.
normal every
Yeah.
time. And then the swollen notes and the contact tracing and community surveillance are ongoing. We just hope things go as planned. And the public is advised to avoid close contact, maintain hand hygiene, and report symptoms promptly.
I have a little challenge with the public being advised. I mean, yes, when you advise, it means you have to be careful. But the truth is, you see the kind of measures we took when it came to COVID. There was strictly no handshaking, social distancing, and things of that nature. The kind of things that allow another person to contact or to get, I mean, to have this mpox virus or whatever it is, include some of these things. I don't know why we are not quite strict on it. I mean,
exactly.
So if you're listening to us, maybe you just have to do your best by taking care of yourself.
And I think it's because we haven't recorded or we don't see it
numbers
as
are not
so
as huge.
strong. I mean, as it was. And the numbers are not increasing.
So that's challenging.
Those times every day or every week we hear of
every day there was
cases.
an issue
You understand. So I feel that is the reason why,
Well, we don't have to take it for granted, like we were talking about COVID.
Yeah.
This exactly also should not be taken for granted because week in, week out, there are programs, there are gatherings everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we are heading towards a long weekend. From Friday, people are going to be traveling. All these gatherings are...
I mean, people from Lagos are going to be traveling.
Exactly. From the University of Ghana are going to be traveling. In fact, because of the long break, students might go home.
Exactly.
Other people, the lecturers, where they might travel to their hometowns, wherever.
I mean, when students find one day off or a holiday, you know how students can be. They want to release stress.
Yes.
And that releasing of stress can cause a lot to the nation.
A lot. So we need to be careful. So if you're watching us and listening to us, you have to do your best by taking care of yourself. And remember, you can join us in this conversation whilst we're doing this on +233 266 29660 send in your comments and we'll read them. Join us in the conversation.
Okay, so shall we move on?
We can move on, I guess.
Okay, so we'll move on to the Kenya story. Kenya in crisis.
Yeah.
Deadly protest and rising public outrage. So Kenya is once again tripled by deadly anti-government protests, and at least 8 lives have been lost and over 80 people injured, many with gunshot wounds as unrest sweeps across 23 countries. The wave of protest, largely youth-led, marks the anniversary of last year's anti-tax demonstration that also ended in bloodshed. There's a lot going on in Kenya.
There's too much.
And the fact that this happened last year, and it's like it's a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, this shouldn't be a 1-year anniversary.
On the lighter note, it almost seems like it's a planned thing to celebrate the anniversary of what happened last year. But
on a more serious note, people's lives are at risk.
Yeah, the fact that people have died, 8 people have died, even if it's one person that died, it's a big deal. And over 80 people are injured. God help these 80 people so that nobody else loses their life in there, because we don't even know the extent of the injuries or whatever they have suffered, and they are in the hospitals trying to recover. If God doesn't come through, maybe we might lose some more lives. But we hope it doesn't happen. But the most important thing here is that last year there were uprisings in Kenya. A year on, there's another development. I am alarmed. If I was a young person living in Kenya right now, I would not have peace.
But what is the president doing about it, William Ruto?
That is a major thing.
Yes, because if your people protested last year at the same time about an issue, what is being done? And that means that the issue is still not being solved.
It's not being solved. I am not sure how much has been done. Okay, personally, when I read the story and I saw that in his last appeal towards the youth to calm down and all of that, he did this from what's it called, a coastal burial ceremony.
Okay.
I mean, I can understand that you can take the opportunity for any time you have the chance to speak publicly to address a situation as a president. That's fine. But for me, I feel there should be a bigger platform, or a platform dedicated to talking about this issue. Don't do this from a funeral platform. Maybe you can do that first, that's okay. But have a forum, do something.
Yes.
Even if not just the president, the heads of the security forces in Kenya should be able to do this.
Yeah.
And address this, I mean, from head to toe, because lives are being lost. 1 year on from last year, these kind of things are still going on. The extent of damage and injuries is just too much.
It's too much.
Like I said, even if it's one person who has died, it's not a good thing. Let alone 8 people and over 80 injured.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think that if I was living in Kenya, I would be at peace
there
or
is
have
the
some
400
peace of mind.
plus injured across 23 countries. That is a lot
Yes.
of people.
Yeah.
I mean, these people who are injured, who knows?
Exactly.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
You can't just go that extent.
Yeah.
And I think President William Ruto is appealing for peace from the coastal burial ceremony, but has been widely criticized for lacking empathy and decisive reforms.
You see, these people will say he's lacking empathy because 1 year on, okay,
Exactly.
and from last year, there was over 60 people killed. You know,
Then today,
and now we are doing over 8 and all of that. I mean,
okay.
yeah.
So I think we'll go back to our first story on Mpox and COVID-19, and we would have an interview with Professor J.H. Kofi Boni, who is the Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Virology at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, that is the NMIMR, and Dr. Dennis Odei Larry, Deputy Director of the Surveillance Department at the Ghana Health Service. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Professor Boni, you are welcome, and Dr. Dennis Lai, you are both welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so today we want to talk about what is happening. I mean, looking at our COVID cases, and then, of course, our Mpox cases. So, Professor Boni, let's begin with COVID-19. We've had a recent uptick in cases, especially around the University of Ghana. I think somewhere last week we saw in the news that there are new cases at the University of Ghana. Can you please clarify the status of COVID-19 resurgence within the community, within the university community?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. Yes, like last week, somewhere
Professor
around.
Boni, please, can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you also hear me?
Okay, I wasn't hearing you, but I think now it's better. So, did you hear me with the clarification on the current status of the COVID-19 at the university community?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Is it better now? Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So let's talk about the current status of COVID-19 at the University of Ghana.
Yes. So, like you rightly said, well, the University Health Services sent a circular. The circular was meant to be the university and also those within immediate environment.
Please, your line is breaking a bit. I can hardly.
Let me position myself well and call. Look at where I am.
Okay, so Dr. Lai, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please, can you speak a bit louder? So we want to turn to Mpox whilst we wait for Prof. So now let's talk about the concerns about the recent increase in Mpox cases. Are these isolated or part of the wider trend?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. I think that with the Mpox, for those of us who may have been aware, we've recorded outbreaks in some parts of the Western African region. And these outbreaks have resulted in quite a significant number of cases. In Sierra Leone, for example, they had cases in excess of 2,000 confirmed cases. And so it's not surprising if you look at the link between us and Nigeria and Sierra Leone. And given how the disease is spread, it is possible that we would record cases. So it's not surprising that Ghana has recorded cases. And it's also due to the fact that we've heightened our surveillance given the awareness of the outbreak in the sister countries.
In outcomes or maybe travel history?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
So
I just
I
had
was
travel history at
asking
the
that are there patterns or common linkages among these new cases when it comes to location, contact tracing, or maybe travel history?
Right. So yes, there are some pointers we've identified. The first one is that the cases are mostly in the southwestern parts of the country. So you're looking at the western north region and the western regions. So these two regions are accounting for quite a significant number of our cases. We are also seeing cases in the Greater Accra region as well. So these are the three main regions. We've had a few cases that have resulted from contact with previously confirmed cases. So that's another observation we've made. And quite a significant number of our cases are also male. And we are also seeing cases in the Galamsey areas as well of the western and western north region. So these are some of the observations we've made as far as the cases we have are concerned.
What is the public precautions? That is the average Ghanaian. What are the precautions the average Ghanaian should take right now to prevent the mpox transition?
I think we've indicated every time we've had discussion about mpox, the focus is on how the disease is spread. And so we talk about person-to-person spread, direct contact with somebody who has the infection, or indirect contact with a person who has the infection. So whether you come into contact with clothes that the person has worn, bedding that the person has lied on or has used, surfaces that the person has touched, all these could be potential sources of infection. The primary thing we advise people on are that anybody who's unwell should report to a health facility. So that's the first thing. Because there's no way of you, the untrained person, to be able to tell that these symptoms I'm having are due to mpox or not. And so anybody who has a rash, anybody who feels unwell, should go to the health facility. That's the first thing. If you are unwell, you go to the health facility and you are told that this is due to mpox and you need to self-isolate. Self-isolation doesn't just mean staying at home and not going out. It's also making sure that nobody else comes into contact with you physically, or you don't share anything with anybody in that household that you are in. That is the concept of self-isolation. And so you make sure that you don't come into contact with anybody, or the person doesn't also get others to share anything or use anything that he or she may have used. These are sure ways of ensuring that we can prevent the disease from spreading. As we said, it's a disease that can spread very easily when you come into physical contact, directly or indirectly, with a person who has a disease. So these are our primary advice that we give people to ensure that we are able to curtail the outbreak. And we're also using all forms of communication channels available to us in the districts, in the communities. We are using the community information centers. We're using community radio stations, media organizations such as yours as well. We're using to be able to get the information to everybody and ensure that we are able to deal with this outbreak.
So let me move to Professor Bonnie, a quick one. Professor Bonnie, please, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes, I can hear you too. Now let's talk about COVID-19 and the current status of COVID at the University of Ghana community.
Right. So, like you rightly said in your introduction, and not too long ago, that's somewhere last week, the university health authorities issued that sought to more or less caution, especially the community within the university and its immediate environs. The reason being that they've seen high numbers of influenza-like cases, and some of these cases have been confirmed. as SARS-CoV-2, that is the virus that causes COVID-19. So yes, for the university, it was. I mean, these cases, for those of us at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, we are privileged to have the National Influenza Center here, where these cases are confirmed or otherwise in this very institute. So we got a wind of it, and rightly so, the health service also had an information on it, and they started sensitizing and others apart from the university community. So yes, you are right. It has been confirmed that we have a number of cases going on.
Evidence from your lab pointing to any new variant?
Right. So so far, what we are seeing is what was predominantly left, more or less went down on this number on the outbreak in 2020 or 2022. We had the Omicron, which was then circulating. So what came up, and after sequencing that was done, we saw that yes, we have some subvariant of the same Omicron, which is circulating among the samples that were taken and were tested. And what we know is that this particular strain is highly transmissible, but it is less severe in terms of disease than some of the other strains. So yes, it is highly infectious. That means it can easily spread quickly. But when it comes to its severity in terms of disease, it is not as let's say severe as the other strains.
When it comes to COVID-19, we are told to test. Test to see if you have it or not. But beyond the testing, what containment, or let me say surveillance strategy, are you taking to avoid the widespread of this variant?
So the university circular, even noted some of the, I would say, the interventions that we need to put in place. Or let's even use the term protocol that we used to use during the time that we were at the height of this pandemic, the COVID pandemic. Because it's a respiratory infection, we need to make sure that all the protective equipment that we need to getting or inhaling any of those aerosols, especially the masks. The mask is supposed to be worn. You don't need to go to areas that is so much crowded where people may be coughing, sneezing, and all that, because you don't know what is coming out of their cough or sneezes. You can easily pick up some of these. Hand washing or personal hygiene is also key, and also I would say distancing yourself from people who look more or less infected, coughing, sneezing, and all that. Make sure that you go, stay a little away from them, and that will also help. So the respiratory precautions that were taken during the time that we were at the height of the pandemic last 2 years or 3 years ago were clearly spelled out when the university sent the circular. And these are same precautions that has to be taken during this time. And mind you, we are in the rainy season too. So these respiratory viruses tend to thrive very well during the rainy season. So it stands to reason that we have to start using some of these precautions so that we can either curtail the spread or prevent ourselves from getting infected.
Okay. Dr. Lai, if you can hear me, I think for Mpox, we were talking about the precautions that the Ghanaian average person should take. But we want to talk about the treatment. Are there any treatments out currently for treating Mpox in Ghana?
So Mpox is what we would call in medicine a self-limiting illness. It will resolve on its own, given time. So what we give in medical parlance, we say supportive treatment. So we look at giving medicines to take care of any fever, If there are any superimposed infections due to bacteria, we'll give an antibacterial agent to take care of those. And then, as we said, once the person has the disease, the person is a risk to all others. The person can spread the disease to others. And so precautions to ensure that this person doesn't spread it to others are also heightened. And of course, as with all others, we encourage good nutrition and all hydration, taking in a lot of fluids. Those kinds of therapy are what we offer. For now, those are what we are doing. In other places, vaccines are given for prevention, but we haven't gotten there yet. We are still exploring that as a country. And if that is available to us as a country, that will be taken. For now, this is supportive treatment we give to the patients.
Okay, thank you. Professor Boni, if you can hear me, now that the WHO has stepped down COVID-19 as a public health emergency, what is Ghana's adjusted response, especially from monitoring perspectives on this?
Yeah, so I mean, Ghana's response. My colleague at the other side can give you a very good response from the end, because he's from the Ghana Health Service and they know what they're doing. They've already been to the university to assess what is happening, and I know that they are putting in place so many to forestall this the spread of this particular variant. So maybe Dr. Lai can give you more on what Ghana is prepared to do, since he is coming from the health service.
Dr. Lai, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we did. Director Public Health led team, of which I was part of, with the regional director of health services with the Greater Accra region. We were there, and we held discussions with the leadership of the University Health Services.
I could hardly hear you. Dr. Lai. Very much, Dr. Lai, Professor Boni, for joining us on the Hello Africa Morning Show. We hope that everything that is happening with regards to Mpox and then COVID-19, we get to, we don't get there and get more cases and end up losing lives and then.
We're making comparisons. The unrest last year
and
what's happening this year. It's basically a year, and it seems like it's an anniversary which is being marked by another unrest in Kenya. We were talking about the numbers. So this year, so far, 8 people have been killed. Over 400 plus people are injured across 23 counties in Kenya. Last year, there were over 60 people killed. I mean, there's a decrease in the number of deaths, but it is not a thing we can celebrate. Like I earlier indicated, even if it's the loss of one life,
yes,
we cannot be excited about it and say it's just one person.
I mean, the fact that it's 60 or over, I think if this should continue more, I think we'll hit that number.
We can get there because over 400 plus people are injured at the moment in the current unrest situation. So I was saying earlier, if this thing probably becomes a bit difficult, we don't know the extent of the injuries. If people don't survive these injuries, what it means is that the death toll will go up higher, and that's not a thing we want to see. But most importantly, 1 year on, this is what is happening. What is the authorities or what is the president and the security personnel doing about these issues in Kenya? That's the key thing. We were talking about how the president, number one, is addressing the country. His last address was from a funeral somewhere at the coastal area of Kenya.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, it's fine to take the opportunity to address concerns of the nation as a president, wherever you find yourself, wherever you find a chance to speak publicly, you can address situations. But we don't see a clear roadmap in terms of communication.
Yes.
And the people who are on the street and are protesting are being met by some sort of brutality by the forces that are trying to curb situation, because there are issues where we have seen that they're using tear gas, live ammunition, and things like that to disperse the crowd. This is not a way to, resolve
solve issues
an unrest.
Yes.
If there's an unrest, there's demonstrations. What it means is that the people are not happy.
Exactly.
There should be a roadmap. There should be a way out of
That's
it.
true.
If a year on from last year, we're still having a situation from last year, and then there's another one this year, what it means is that the authorities are not doing enough to handle situations that are coming up. It's possible that these people may be mounting pressure on the government. Probably the government is not ready for this kind of situations, and they are focusing on other, things that they have to deal with when it comes to governance.
Yeah.
But the fact that this thing has happened last year, it's happening again, and there is no speedy resolution to it is where my problem is.
There is a government crackdown, and then TV broadcasts have been suspended. Live coverages have been blocked, and access to Parliament and State House fortified with razor wire and then roadblock. I mean, as you said, if this happened last year and then this year it is happening again, just like a 1 year anniversary, then that means the people of Kenya are not happy with what is happening.
Yeah.
And then witnesses are also counting of shooting and beating. Major human rights groups condemn the excessive use of force and suppression of press freedom.
Yeah.
If a country or if members of a country decide to protest on an issue, I do not think the right way of solving things, or maybe making sure things are done rightfully, is pulling out tear gases and then attacking people, shooting. That's way too much.
It's so wrong. I mean, politically, the sentiments in Kenya right now is that, there's too much brutality from the forces that are trying to make sure things are in order.
Yeah.
And people have lost confidence in the government. Okay, government officials who are supposed to be in the position to lead conversations, have discussions, invite these people who are aggrieved to a forum or whatever, where issues can be talked about and there can be a clear roadmap as to what has to be done.
Yeah, that's true.
These things are not being done, and people are not happy about it. So I do not know how the government feels about this, and what if they are even concerned about the image equates for their country, because Kenya is one of the finest countries in Africa.
That's actually a country I want to go.
Exactly.
And
That's a country
I'm
want
not
to
going.
So if there's unrest in Kenya, that's Kenya missing one tourist from Ghana.
Oh, yeah.
Who else? I mean, how else do we know if there are other people who might be interested in visiting Kenya this year or any other year, but probably might change their minds because of, look, these things come with a lot of negatives.
That's true.
I don't
People
know
are not safe.
Yeah, people are not safe. The country is not safe. People are not happy. Look, this thing can result in people even migrating from Kenya to other countries like Uganda. And
but there's this thing where people say you have to stay and fight for your country.
Nobody wants to fight when they think that they are going to die.
But people are, somewhat ready to give out their lives to. There's something similar that happened in Nigeria.
Okay.
I've forgotten the tag it had.
Was it the End SARS thing?
End SARS thing. There was something like that, and people were, ready to go out. You could see influencers and all these people protesting for the same reason. I mean, coming together with the same idea and then protesting against wrongdoings and then all that. But then I have a comment here from, that's from Sandra from Tema, and she says that it's heartbreaking to see lives being lost again over issues that could be addressed through dialogue.
Exactly.
The youth are frustrated, and until their concerns about economic hardship and police brutality are genuinely heard, these protesters might not end soon. That is Sandra from Tema.
It's
I think
a genuine
she
concern
said yes.
from Sandra.
I mean, in a country, in a democratic country, everybody is open to talking about their ideas and then looking at better ways things can be done. So I don't think as a youth, if you are expressing your concerns on economic hardship, there should be that seize or break that. Okay, so you can say, but you can't say much, or you can do, but you can't do much. There should be that free flow. The president or the authority should be able to listen to their members and then vice versa, address these things, as she said, with through dialogue, normal dialogue. That is fine. And then I think there is also one here from Esther Adenta. She said, what specific action has the African Union taken so far in response to these protests in Kenya? For example, I know the African Commission on Human and People's Rights issued a statement on June 29 condemning the use of live ammunition and calling for independent investigation and reforms. But what about broader AU intervention, diplomatic efforts, mediation offers, peacekeeping mandate? How has the AU Peace and Security Council convened or gotten involved beyond the Human Rights Commission?
These are absolute concerns. Absolute genuine concerns. So what he means is that the AU must not sit down for this thing to escalate.
You know, I don't even know why we see these things happening in various countries and then these bodies are quiet.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that they are often reactive when they are supposed to be proactive. Okay, because for example, in this situation we are discussing right now, there's been a history a year ago. What was done after that event last year, such that in a year's time when this anniversary is being marked, there's a similar situation. What it means is that nothing was done. If something was done, I don't think this will be happening. Okay, so for me, it just goes to say that our diplomatic organizations and anybody that matters that can broker peace,
they're mostly quiet when these issues come up.
Yeah, they must wake up at the moment, because in your top African news, you just spoke about the Hutus situation where they are asking that the issues of 1972 and 73 should be recognized by the UN as a genocide. If you're not careful, this is how these things will build up, and then in the next few years, somebody else will be talking about that these issues must be recognized as a genocide because people's lives were lost. Look at the number of injuries that we have recorded already. I mean, it's not the best. So the authorities in Kenya, President Ruto and your colleagues in office, you can do better. We believe in Africa. We believe in Kenya. We trust that the situation can be resolved.
Okay. So to the next story, violence flares in Togo over constitution change.
Again, another
one. So protests in Togo's capital, that is Lomé, have escalated into violent clashes between demonstrators and security forces for a second consecutive day as citizens voice outrage over constitutional changes that critics say could entrench the president's power indefinitely. So security forces reportedly used tear gas as usual, in some instances entering homes to assault residents and all that. So the civil society groups and opposition leaders have condemned the move as a constitutional coup, which Professor David Dosa, speaking for a coalition for civic groups, criticized the use of force against unarmed civilians. Internet access remains disrupted, with social media functioning not too well. What do you think is happening?
It's a similar situation like the Kenyan thing.
But I don't know why there are lots of issues with this country.
The bigger challenge for me on the Togo issue is that there's a constitutional breach somewhere. Why would a certain president want to work his way such that he's not going to be going out of power anytime soon? For goodness sake, presidency is not...
You're not above the law.
You're not above the law. Plus, the presidency is not supposed to be like a lifetime office for anybody. I mean, we do say in Akan in Ghana, Nyansa ni obaku fuchim. What it literally means is that common sense or knowledge is not in one person's head. So if you have been leader for a certain number of years, where the constitution allows you to probably rule for 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, and it's time for you to get out, just get out.
Step down.
Let somebody else come and do the bit. Because if you keep being there, chances are that you will not do better.
That's true.
I don't know if these leaders think about these things this way. Look, sometimes, maybe, for whatever reason, I don't know, I've not spoken to President Nyasimbe, but I just want to assume that he believes that he has the prowess and the ability to do something better and continue to do things in a proper way for Togo. But you see, already his father left some sort of a history, and he has also come into office now. So this thing is not a thing that the Togo people are going to allow to happen. They won't. It's going to begin to look like it's like a family dynasty thing. It's not supposed to be like that. The country is not for your family. If you are a Togolese, you have the right, probably by your constitution. I'm sure whatever requirements are there are many people in Togo who can be presidents.
That's true.
So I don't think that it is fair.
You know, this boils down to African countries.
Yes.
There is this thing happening in African countries where you realize that a lot of the African sitting president do not want to step down. They are old enough. They do not want to give chances to the younger generation to assume positions. It's really not fair, as you said. And I want to read a comment here from Emmanuel, and it says that it's sad to see that many African countries still struggling with governance systems that don't prioritize the needs of their people. Until leadership becomes more accountable and responsive, we might continue seeing protests like these across the continent. And that's from Emmanuel. And there's another one from another Emmanuel from La Paz. And it says that people are tired. The cost of living keeps going up, yet salaries remain the same. How do they expect citizens to survive without frustration boiling over? This issue of rising economy and salaries,
it's a big deal.
It's really a big deal.
It's a big deal.
We just hope that the concerns of the people are heard.
Yeah.
The concerns of the people are heard. And there is one more comment from Isaac East Legon, and he says that these protests show that many young people have lost hope in their government. If leaders don't start listening and creating opportunities, we are going to keep seeing violence like this across the continent. I think it's high time African leaders give chances to people. Listen, be a listening government. Step down if it is your time. You have stayed on seats. Some people have stayed on seats for a longer time. And as you say, sometimes it becomes like a family legacy.
For me,
you leave and your son has to resume the seat.
It's not right. For me, I feel sad that all of these countries are practicing, they are practicing democracy. But this is definitely not democracy.
Of course.
This is more or less like dictatorship. I mean, like, I'm sorry to say, but it's not a good thing for any kind of governance in Africa. So, President Nyasimbe, if you're watching, we are appealing to you. Do what your people would love to do, and then bring your country back to peace. Africa must be united in peace.
Okay, so Africa must be united in peace. We'll move to the next story. That's KNUST to reintroduce oral exams for master students. That's the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. So currently, major changes are on the horizon for postgraduate education at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Beginning November 2025, all master students will be required to undergo oral examination and move in at strengthening academic assessment and improving graduate output. The announcement was made by the director of the School of Graduate Studies during the university's 58th special congregation. What do you think?
Oral examinations.
Look,
I don't think this is a bad thing. For graduate studies, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Why?
You know how this thing feels when you do sit-down exams, and then when you have the chance in an oral exam to express yourself. These are two different things.
I know what you will say is what you will say. Whether you are talking or you are writing.
But there are people who can express themselves better when they are talking.
And
than
you know,
when
there are also
they are
people
writing.
who can
And there are
express
also people who
themselves
can
better
write.
when they are writing.
Yes.
And the thing is, whatever you say, me, I don't think.
So as much as I think it's a good thing, what
Yeah.
I'm more interested in knowing is at what point did the KNUST arrive at the decision that they are going to reintroduce oral examinations. Okay, and the rationale here they say is that it is aimed at enhancing the quality and rigor of postgraduate education by adding a more interactive and robust form of assessment.
Okay,
so
this one works.
The question is this rationale good enough? Is it a reasonable thing to want to assess candidates who are applying to to do postgraduate studies at the KNUST? I think it is not a bad idea, honestly, because as much as there are people who can express themselves better when they speak, and there are others who can express themselves better when they write. Both of these sets of people have their strengths and their weaknesses. But if you ask me, as a graduate student, it should be easy for you to be able to express yourself both ways. Because often you would do a thesis or a dissertation that requires you to do a lot of writing. There are many institutions that have some pages that you are supposed to write as part of your partial fulfillment for whatever you're studying.
That's true.
When you do that, there are some institutions that require you to defend it in front of a panel, and that means you've got to speak. So build the skill. Then it's a
will
problem.
Be difficult.
So I feel it's an advantage. Okay, so I look at this as a soft skill. If it is anybody who is unable to express themselves verbally, okay, probably they should pick this up as a soft skill, because you never know where you're going to end up, especially when you have to appear in front of a panel to dissertation or thesis or whatever it is. Besides, during your studies, there are going to be presentations.
That's true.
You'll be put in a group. You'll be appointed to lead. So what happens if you think that you are not able to verbally, present issues, but you are supposed to be delivering a presentation for your group? What it means is that if you flop, the team has flopped.
That's all.
I mean, so I think that people should look at it as picking up a soft skill in terms of presentation or oral, whatever, and then, build on from there.
Okay, so we are moving to the lifestyle segment.
Look, in lifestyle, it's a real big deal. And before we get into lifestyle, we'll go on a break. When we come back, Jemima went on a tour. I can't wait to hear the gist. Accra tour by night. I don't know how you feel about that. A tour is done normally in the daytime, but by night.
It's by night.
By night. Accra tour by night. We'll see you after this break.
Okay, so welcome to the lifestyle segment. My name is Jemima, and as usual, Phil, this one I want you to call me in.
No, I'm going to call you because
I
am interested in the juice.
That's
Okay.
a lot.
Accra
By
tour
night.
by night, whatever. Accra tour by night, Accra night by whatever. It's a tour at night. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, you went on this tour. When was this?
That was on Friday, after we all closed.
That's a proper definition of an Adria, the Friday night, that's a fine way to begin your weekend. So tell me about this. First of all, how did you know about the store?
Oh, so a friend reached out to me. That was somehow around last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And my friend had already told me about this Accra by night thing some time ago. But I mean, the date was not out and nothing like that. So when the date was confirmed and all that, I mean, my friend reached out to me. Jemima, it's Accra by night. Are you on? I was like, okay. And you know, funny enough, when my friend told me about it, I started thinking about it. As you said, tours are done in
the daytime.
I mean, in the daytime.
So who wants to tour at night?
Exactly.
What
who
are you going
wants
to see?
But you know, funny enough, I wanted to experience the whole new, let me say, the vibe of touring Accra by night.
Okay.
And I actually did.
Okay.
And I can't wait to give you the gist.
Okay. So, on Friday night, where did this tour begin from?
So the tour began from the Accra Tourism Information Center, and that is around.
That's basically opposite the Jubilee House, sort of.
Yes. So maybe opposite, but more opposite to Afrikiko.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that was where we all met. I mean, there is a Roxy Wache on that.
Oh yeah, that's opposite on the other side to Roxy Wache.
Yeah.
Did you go to have a bite?
Oh no, I have actually gone there before, but not that day.
Okay.
Yeah. So we met there. The bus was supposed to move at 7 p.m. But you know, sometimes Ghana time.
Yeah, Ghana time. It's a Ghana thing.
So we moved around 8. We had people join in. Oh, it was a nice experience. We had some foreigners joining us, people who were there to witness what goes on. And around 8 something thereabout in the evening, we started the tour.
Okay.
And it was nice. I mean, when I got there, I got their T-shirts.
Oh, so you are given a branded T-shirt?
Yeah, I got it myself.
Okay.
I wanted to be in their T-shirts and that branded thing.
More like an ambassador.
You know,
okay,
you know, that was my way of getting through. You know, with some deals.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got that T-shirt. I didn't change. I just wore it, and then we began the tour, and it was nice. I mean, the bus is not like a normal bus.
What kind of bus was it?
It's the normal bus, you know, those air-conditioned car, but a smaller type of it. But then it had an upper
deck.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lower deck and an upper deck.
Yeah, but the upper deck is open.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's open.
So
it's not closed like how the lower.
So what it means
part
that you can sit and then you are viewing.
Oh, you are viewing. It's not like you could view. You are viewing.
Okay.
Yeah, you are viewing what's happening. You can take pictures and videos.
Okay.
So most people, of course, will be at the upper deck.
Of course. That's what the fun is going to be.
Exactly. And then there were people down there. I mean, there was a whole team. And funny enough, I realized that my former lecturer from GIG, Dr. Kobe Mensah, is actually their CEO. So when he saw me, I mean, my friend was also a past student of UNIMAC, formerly GIG. And Doctor saw my friend and he walked towards us. He was like, it's like, I know you. I was like, yes, dog, I know you too. You were my lecturer in GIG.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, that's true. I was like, oh, dog, how are you? I mean, we did that chat. They have quite a number of initiatives that they are trying to work on, bringing it out. And I learned this is the third Accra by night tour they are having. The first one was, I think, in March. And they had 1, 2, I can't really confirm the date. And then this recent one that happened last Friday. And it was amazing.
So let's continue on the journey from the tourism information center.
Yeah.
Where was your first stop?
So we were not really doing a stop as it was a tour.
So it was just a drive throughout the night?
So not just a drive. We stopped at some point.
Okay.
So right through, we're told about the history, the first runabout. That is when you're moving towards the Afrikiko, after Afrikiko, you know, there is a...
I think that should be the Akweje.
Yeah, so they said that was the first runabout that was built. We moved through to Jamestown, and then we moved through to the Kwame Nkrumah Museum.
Okay.
And that place we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
But along the way through the Jamestown, we saw a lot of things.
Did you stop at the lighthouse?
We saw the lighthouse. So we were in the car. I mean, you know how that community, I don't know if you've been there, but you know how the alignment and things are. It's not so friendly.
Yeah.
So we didn't get down, but there were some slow move when we got to places where they wanted to show us the lighthouse. We saw the first post office box. We saw some of these buildings that the foreigners came to build and what they were used for, through to the Ghana, the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, where we learned a lot there, to be honest. I think that place we got down, we visited the museum, we were told the history, what happened. If you are looking, if you are watching on your screens right now, that is me, on the tour. And it was quite educative. And you know, at the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, people got a bit emotional listening to Kwame Nkrumah, the history.
Yeah.
You know, Kwame Nkrumah was buried 3 times. I actually didn't know.
He was.
Yeah, he was buried 3 times following his death in Romania.
Yeah.
One in Guinea-Bissau, where he was the co-president. One in his hometown.
Yeah.
In
When he
Kung
wa-
Fu. I don't know if I got it
when
right.
he was first brought to Ghana.
Yeah, and then the last burial was
Yeah,
in
where he's resting currently.
yeah, and you know, one wish from Sami, his wife, Fatia Nkrumah, was that she wanted to be buried beside the husband. So when you go to the museum, there is
There's a tomb for both of them.
Yeah, for both of them. She's just here, and then Kwame Nkrumah is just there. And you know, when he was buried, his body was embalmed for 20 years and became a tourist site in the community. And then his final place, that is the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, hosts his body and that of his wife, Samia, who willed that she wanted to be buried beside the husband. I mean, the original Accra stretching from we went through, I mean, the original Accra route stretching from the old Bank of Ghana office and the GBC Bank, and then to the brick houses where we saw some born out of legislation in the then Gold Coast. I mean, you know, Ghana was then Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And many of the territories apart from Accra resisted the directive, prompting cracks, and then the colonial authority used the buildings that they had. And then we mentioned, I mean, our tour guide mentioned that there were some communities that make Accra.
Yeah.
And then that was Osu, Jamestown, Tema, and I think Teshi. Yeah, he mentioned those things. And I mean, it was fun.
Okay.
I think that is my first time touring Accra, and I would say that it was more than I expected. I mean, we drove through, and then after
from Jamestown,
museum,
where did you go to? Yeah, from
went to museum. We got down. I mean, we listened to the history. We entered the gallery. I saw the first quote that. The quote of Kwame Nkrumah. I saw his trunk that he used
in school.
Exactly.
I've been there before, so I know a few of the things.
Yeah, and then it's so nice that we have history, we have things dated, we have pictures to prove. I saw I think the grandmom, I think the mom when he died, and a picture of her, actually not too pleasant, you know, losing a son. In that way. I mean, it was good. We had fun, and after that we drove through to the Independence Square, where the foreigners were briefly told about Ghana. So that is where events are really big events are held here in Ghana. And then we moved through to the Osu Night Market. I never knew there was a night market that operated 24 hours.
I've heard of it. I've not been there.
Oh, this was my first time. And to be honest, I'm told it runs 24 hours. And that's true. Because when we got there around 1 a.m.
Oh, okay.
And there was wache, there was banku, there was wache, there was bankun, there was beans, there was fish, there was...
Accra was indeed alive at the night.
You know, and you know that Friday nights people do not normally sleep in Accra. And looking at Osu is one of the busiest when it comes to hanging out and all these things. And then our last, we landed at Aliba. I don't know if you know Aliba.
I've heard of it. I've not been there.
A very nice place. You know, you could go chill for your Friday evenings, and it was a nice time. I won't lie, we really enjoyed ourselves. And somewhere around 2, 3 something that way, the bus moved us back to the location that is the tourist. And it was nice. And then we all went home.
I was hoping you probably would have made a stop at a nice club or something, but
oh no, you know, I was actually tired, you know, from work too.
Well, yeah, I can imagine.
That was a lot, but it was nice. The experience was great. Yeah, and I'll do it again if I have the chance.
Awesome. So what was your highlight of the entire trip at night? I mean, what made it special? Because this is quite unusual. Like we have said, a lot of tours will be done during the daytime, but what made it special?
I think one is meeting new people. You know, I haven't really been in that circle before. Meeting new people and looking at the time. The time made it very special. In the evening, meeting people, trying to, have contacts, building that network of people. And then the highlights, other highlights for me was at the Kwame Nkrumah Museum, where we're listening to history again, listening to some of his videos and looking at some of his videos and audios and all that. And then the Kinky joint.
Were you able to eat at any point
Oh,
in time?
no.
You were not offered
Unfortunately,
food?
no, we were, but we were offered refreshment,
Okay.
drinks, water.
On
Of
the
course,
bus.
people, on the bus. There were some pastries and all that, and it was easy to come by. When you're
Okay.
done, you can go for another one. It
Oh,
was
okay.
that flexible.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for this?
Okay, so a person per head is 250 cedis.
Okay.
Yeah, 250 cedis per head, and then
Okay.
you can join us the next time. I mean, the next time I'll be the one to bring out. I mean, I'll take the dates from them and come and advertise.
And come to announce it here.
Yeah, come to announce it here.
That's really nice to know. So probably, like Jemima said, she'll give you the next date on the show. So watch out for her. And then now she's an unofficial ambassador for the Accra Tour by Night. I think we'll have to get a Ghana Tourism Authority to.
I even have to reach out to my lecturer and tell him that, at
Oh
this
yeah,
point,
you just mentioned he's the CEO. Well, that's
at
a
this
good connection.
point-
At this point, they can make you an ambassador. And then you use your network to, that kind of thing. Well, anyway, so that was the lifestyle segment. And before we go today, we have so many messages with regards to birthdays and well wishes and all of that. So we would like to
last message.
quickly go through them before we get off the set this morning. So this one says, happy blessed birthday to Nana Aisha or Nana Aisha. Even though your birthday was last week, we still want to send you our love and belated wishes today. You are truly special. We hope your day was filled with love, joy, and unforgettable moments. From your study mates, at the Accra Business School, we wish you a year ahead filled with success, blessings, and endless opportunities. Keep shining and making us proud. We love you. The next one is for Yao Selom, and it says happy birthday to the amazing co-founder of Strictly Social Africa. Thank you for creating such a vibrant platform that brings students together and connects people from different universities through fun and meaningful hangouts. Your efforts have been truly instrumental in building friendships and networks across campuses. Wishing you a year filled with joy, success, and even bigger achievements. Keep making a difference. From your loved ones at SSA. And this one is to Telma from the National Service Personnel Team of the AAU. And we wish you a happy belated birthday. We wish you a year filled with love, exciting opportunities, and God's endless blessings. We pray that God's grace and favor will always shine upon you. May He bless you with good health, wisdom, and strength to achieve all that your heart desires. Cheers to you and all the wonderful things that lie ahead. Here's to an incredible year ahead. Keep shining, keep winning, and keep being the awesome person you are. Much love from all of us here. And we also want to join ourselves to wish Telma a belated happy birthday. And this also goes out to our colleague Lydia Nyame, and the entire team, the entire AAU TV team wishes you a happy belated birthday. You've been such a sweet and lovely soul here at AAU, hardworking, dedicated, and always giving your best. We want to take this moment to say thank you for everything you do. We see you, we appreciate you, and we love you. And this also goes out to Ellen. I wish you a happy belated birthday. And they call you Alice in Wonderland. I don't know why, but it says thank you for always being there for me. No amount of words can express how grateful I am for everything you have done. The love, care, support, my all-in-one person. Your selflessness and compassion has brought so much joy and positivity in my life. May this birthday be the beginning of an amazing year filled with blessings, happiness, and success. Thank you for always being the big sister in the office and for being an incredible person in comms serve, from Latifa. And this one goes to our HR, Madam Yvette Kwashi. Last week Friday was your birthday. So to the Human Resource Manager of the Association of African Universities, Madam Yvette Kwashi, we wish you a happy belated birthday. May the Lord continue to strengthen you and grant you wisdom in all that you do. May He bless the works of your hands, favor you abundantly, and surround you with His peace and joy always. We pray that His grace will continue to sustain you, and may He reward you richly for all the love and care you show us in the office. Happy belated birthday, Madam, from the National Service personnel. And I believe everybody in AAU will join themselves to this wish for our beloved HR. Okay, yeah, so I guess that's it for
So there's one.
You have some?
Yeah, there's one from Latifa.
Okay.
She's saying, I really would love to attend the Accra by night tour, but I'm scared. In as much as this sounds fun, I really hope our safety is guaranteed. Accra has been quite scary lately with all the recent incidents. Imagine coming from far just to attend this event and something happens. It will be so sad. So with regards to security, yes, we had the police going with us.
Okay.
Yeah, so there were, security.
Were they riding on motorbikes?
Yeah, so they were with us. So
that's fine.
I remember we passing through some communities. We need those people because it looks like at a point we were causing some form of traffic.
Oh, okay.
So we had them there to, guide the ride for us.
Okay.
As you said, it's very late, so
Yeah.
your security is actually guaranteed. No to waste.
So
about
Latifa, your fears are laid. Don't worry. I believe that Jemima will give you the date for the next trip for Accra tour by night, and invite me, by the way. It would be nice to go with somebody that you know.
That's true.
Anyway, so it looks like we've come to the end of the Hello Africa morning show on the 30th of June 2025. I'm so emphatic about it because we are half year through 2025.
Tomorrow marks
the beginning of the next half.
Yeah.
So warm up is a Monday, is a good time. Mondays are good for strategic thinking. So yeah, warm up, think about the next half of the year. Come up with your ideas, whatever. Those of you who had resolutions, I don't do resolutions, but if you had one from the beginning of the year, there's a good time to reflect on it and then find some energy, refuel yourself, and then get into the second half of the year. Thank you for joining us today on the Hello Africa Morning Show. My name is Philemon Edwards, and I did this words. We'll come your way again next week. Take care. This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.